Hello lovelies, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about a case that occurred in the 70s called the Candra and Jose Torres case. There is a small warning. This may trigger people who have experienced trauma, especially trauma that is similar to this case. I don't go into details, I don't think it's necessary to go into like the grisly details of what happened in this case. But I just want to put it there because I don't know what everyone's can handle. I saw a movie related to the case and I found it interesting because it's a difficult case and one that would actually be really difficult to prove. Candra Torres and her husband Jose Torres went on a camping trip celebrating their 1-year anniversary in the Oregon woods. While they were struggling to catch fish with their dog Rusty, they met a man named Tom Brown, who was 29 years old compared to Candra, who was 16 at the time. The couple talked to Brown about fishing, and he claimed to know a better fishing spot, so the trio relocated where they camped out. The next day, Brown accidentally shot and killed Jose when Brown handed Jose a rifle during a deer hunt. The dog attacked Brown, in which Brown killed the dog in self-defense. Candra supposedly saw the whole thing and corroborated the tragic story when they went to the police station. Both Brown and Candra passed the polygraph test, and the police deemed the death of Julio Torres as accidental. However, in the coming days, Candra couldn't make sense of the trauma she had survived. She claimed that one morning she woke up and all these memories just came flooding back to her. She was also confused as to why she was taking so many baths because she just didn't feel clean. She eventually returned to the police department with a different version of the events that occurred in the woods. In this new version, Candra said she didn't see her husband get shot. Instead, she was at the campsite cooking breakfast when she heard the sound of a gunshot. Brown went down to the campsite where he shot Candra's dog, and in seeing this, she said to him, "You shot my dog." And with a big smile on his face, he replied that he shot her husband too. From there, Brown took her deeper into the woods where he constantly raped her the night of her husband's murder. The next day, he was moved by her prayers for protection or fear of him that he promised to spare her life. However, he continued to tell her that the death of her husband was a hunting accident rather than a deliberate murder. Candra stated that to protect herself, she wanted to believe what she was being told because it was easier to handle and accept. It was less traumatic than the truth. Now, nobody murdered her husband to get to her, so she believed it was an accident because it was easier. The shift in the story caused the investigators to have Candra go through another polygraph test, and this time, unfortunately, she failed it. Now, it didn't mean that the investigators dismissed her new testimony, because the accuracy of polygraphs is debated, to the point where the Supreme Court rendered polygraphs inadmissible in virtually all courts. But it also didn't mean that the investigators believed Candra's new statement either, because they didn't understand how or why she would have lied when she had first come forward. And they didn't understand why she would cover up for a man who killed her husband and dog and then proceeded to rape her countless times. A psychiatrist specializing in trauma found that ironic things happen when people are traumatized, including that of a captive who thinks they are going to die, how they might end up having positive feelings towards the captor. This is known as Stockholm Syndrome, which isn't really surprising to probably most of you. You've probably heard this before. And what this is a condition where the captor and hostage develop feelings for one another and develop negative feelings towards those on the outside trying to resolve the situation. Candra felt that because she was thankful that Brown was allowing her to go back to her family and see people again, that she believed he saved her life. Brown had her under his complete control. She was so thankful for being alive and associated that to Brown. And that's why she believed he saved her life. He basically spared her. Candra told her mother the story of what happened, and her mother, because she wasn't under the influence of Stockholm Syndrome, saw what the story was. It was a murder and a subsequent cover-up. So she convinced her daughter to go back down to the police station and tell them what really happened. So, because Candra changed her story and she failed a polygraph, she was an unreliable witness that couldn't be used to testify in this case. And there were no other witnesses to corroborate her story. They only had her word against Brown. And Brown passed a polygraph. And he wasn't changing his story. So when they brought Brown in for questioning and they detained him, he confessed his crime to a cellmate. He's been in prison ever since because of his confession. And the reason I chose this case, like I said, is because Stockholm Syndrome is a difficult condition for people to believe. Others would believe that the couple deserved it for being so trusting of a complete stranger. I don't think anyone deserves what they went through. I honestly think Brown would have done the crime even if they didn't talk to him at all. So what do you think about this case? Do you think Brown would have gotten away with the crime if it hadn't been for his confidence of being released and his confession? What do you think of Stockholm Syndrome? Do you think it's a legit condition, or do you think it's just total BS? Because I've heard some people say that it's just not real, that it's impossible. I mean, why would somebody who's being held captive or go through all of this trauma from their captor stick up for them or defend them? So let me know what you think in the comments below. Next week, I'm going to discuss why I like Saw, the entire Saw franchise, how I can actually watch it without shutting it off, compared to Hostel, and how I can watch Saw when I absolutely cannot stand torture. I actually have a really hard time watching torture in films, so I will let you know all of that next week. Stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, click that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Click the bell icon to keep up with new videos. And stay tuned. Take care until next time. Thanks again.